Welcome back. Today on the show, we'll talk about Florida State's Tasia Latson, who leads Division I in scoring. We'll also talk UCLA's Kiki Rice and more future WNBA draft prospects. Let's get right into it.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are Locked On Women's Basketball. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get on the action with FanDuel because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. My name's Hunter Cruse. I'm your Saturday host covering the WNBA draft and prospect scouting. Today I'm joined by my co-host Lincoln Shafer. Lincoln contributes to our draft coverage here at The Next and Locked On Women's Basketball. First player we want to talk about is Florida State's Tasia Latson, 5'8" guard. She currently leads the country in scoring, 28 points, almost 5 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 48% from three, getting to the free throw line at will. What has been your takeaway so far with what you've seen from Tasia Latson at Florida State?
There's very few players in the country better at putting the ball in the hoop than she is. She's scoring at a tremendously efficient rate right now, which is really impressive for somebody with her usage. She's also, I think, leading the country in usage percentage. She's over a 40% usage percentage right now. Her hoop stats has her second, but that's just scoring efficiently in the paint and outside the three-point line is something that we've been looking for her for a couple of years now. She's shown that she had the obvious talent from the moment she stepped on the court at Florida State, and it's just been really encouraging and heartening to kind of see her put it together to a greater degree now. 28 points per game right now is leading Division I in scoring, and she's been just all over the court for Florida State.
Do you know what her turnover rate is right now?
I mean, you can't turn it over when you're shooting the ball, so probably pretty
It's
low.
it's under 10%. So 30% assist rate, 9.4% turnover rate at a 40.5% usage is like absurd.
Yeah.
And they haven't played like an awful schedule either. They've played Tennessee, they've played Virginia Tech. She dropped 38 and 40 in those two games. They also played Illinois. They've
Yeah.
played,
Hilarious
yeah.
numbers.
Has this season so far changed at all how you think about her as a prospect? I know after her freshman season, we were like really high on her. Her
Mhm.
sophomore season, it wasn't like a step offensively, I would say.
Right.
And the passing was always a concern for us too. She's kind of just a bucket getter. What have you kind of see from that standpoint this year?
I feel a little bit more confident, especially the big number for her is the three-point shooting uh, increasing massively while the free throw volume goes up, while the 2-point volume and efficiency goes up too. That's the number that I think we're going to be keeping an eye on is the three-point shooting. I don't think she's necessarily a 50% three-point shooter, but even 36, 37% for somebody with her first step and her scoring ability inside the paint, that's absolutely massive.
And she's like making pull ups out of ball screens and like in
Mm,
transition. It's not even just like open spot up threes. And the other thing for me has been like the half court finishing.
mhm,
We've talked about it before. Emily's not here to
mhm.
berate about how she has no decel. But I think it doesn't, at some point, it doesn't matter if you're finishing how she is right now. Like she's
Mhm.
shooting over 60% at the rim. We've seen more 2 foot finishes compared to like 1 foot just off balance. I think she's been under control more, and that's the huge thing. And
For
one
sure.
comp I kind of thought about was Kennedy Carter. And if we're seeing Latson be this level of a finisher, she's closer to like the Kennedy Carter camp versus just being this high volume rim finisher that it doesn't finish consistently. So I think that's probably huge for her as well. Like if we talk about a player like Kennedy Carter that could make threes, like that's an all star. That's a super potential like all WNBA caliber player if it breaks right.
Yeah, the three-point shooting against ball screens is really important for someone like her because, with her driving ability, she's going to see a lot of those deep unders where they're
Hmm.
keeping the big in the paint to try to um, keeping the big in the paint and the guards sliding way underneath the screen to try to stop her from getting to her spots, which is mostly the rim. So if she can find ways to punish defenses that try to do that, that's absolutely massive.
The other 2026 guard prospect that I've been very impressed with is Kiki Rice at UCLA. The counting numbers aren't insane just because she plays with Lauren Betts,
It's
Janiyah
UCLA.
Barker, Gabrielle Jaquez, every single good basketball player on that team. Still averaging 13 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. Her true shooting percentage so far is 68.6% in 11 games.
Is
She
that
doesn't turn
good?
over the ball. She has been getting to the rim. She has made unreal strides as a finisher. Like her freshman season, the finishing in the half court was like awful. Now it's like she's getting to
Very
the rim
good.
and like it's yeah.
Yeah, and with Kiki, to me, the offense is mostly a bonus. The thing that really sold me on Kiki Rice as a WNBA prospect is her defense. She's one of the best point of attack defenders in the country, and I will forever have ingrained in my mind a game she played against Tahina Paopao and India Rogers as a freshman, where I think she had 4 blocks against Rogers and Paopao when they're trying to drive to the basket, and she's just turning them away, keeping them out of the paint, and that's a very good guard group on that 22 Oregon team, and she's just hasn't dropped a step defensively. She's switching more. UCLA has decided, yeah, when we have Kiki Rice and Janiyah Barker out here, sometimes we're going to pre-switch these actions, and Kiki's going to start on the 4, and Janiyah is going to guard the point guards. And she's been holding her own against 4s, and it's just really fun to see her and Janiyah Barker and Lauren Betts just absolutely run that defense.
Yeah, Kiki plays with so much bend and like she's so strong at getting around screens, running off
Mhm.
the ball, chasing shooters. I've been impressed from that perspective as well. Like this 2026 guard class is pretty
Super
fun.
fun.
Having Latson's more of like a combo in kind of like
Yeah,
a Kennedy Carter type way, which you can have a combo guard. It's
yeah.
modern basketball. Also having like we said, having Kiki Rice, having Flage if she's not in this year's class, having Iana Martin, a lot of guards that are fun that can
Mhm.
create and get to the rim. That is definitely a plus because we need more of those players in the W.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Latson. Yeah, Latson's averaging 28 points. I think they're both All American. Like if the season ends today, they're both like for me like All American cases so far.
You can absolutely make a case for the leading scorer and the best guard on the best team. Yeah.
One other player before we get to our first ad break. What have you really thought about Lauren Betts this season at UCLA?
It's kind of been the same as as last year with UCLA and Lauren. She's showing that she's more mobile and can kind of defend a little bit further out of the paint. She's been a
Hmm.
dominant rim protector, a dominant scorer on the interior, and continues to show her passing flair and little touch there. Um, I if she keeps doing what she's doing, that is a WNBA player.
How does she compare to Camille Cardozo to you? Like, are they like very similar tier prospects? You think?
Um, I like Camilla's defense better, but I think I like Lauren's offense a little bit more.
Yeah, I think she's way
Um,
better around the rim.
yeah, it's. I think I'd lean Betts over Cardoso right now, but it is pretty close.
Yeah, I think both players kind of project as that like defensive anchor type.
Mhm.
Offensively, like so much screen value. Like Lauren Betts'
Yeah,
screening
yeah,
is absurd. How much like we're talking about that. We're talking about with Kiki Rice ability to get downhill. When you have Lauren Betts screening for you, all of
yeah.
the screen assists you're creating
Makes it a
there.
little easier.
Then you have Janiyah Barker like in the dunker spot, like coming over.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah, such
pretty
a
pretty
fun
absurd.
team. Such
So
a
let's
fun
get to our
team.
first ad break and talk about some sophomores in the SEC that are having major breakout seasons in Camille Pierre and Tasia Cooper. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can finish the season along with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Not only can you bet on who will win the game, but FanDuel also has bets for which player will score a touchdown, how many points each team will score, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, a kickoff segment to Camille Pierre at Vanderbilt. Pierre had a decent freshman season. She was very athlete and not much else. Average 8.9 points. Couldn't really finish consistently around the rim. This season, she's been one of the best play finishers in college basketball. 23 points, almost 11 rebounds, over 3.5 steals per game. She's been so fun for this Vanderbilt team, how they force so many turnovers, get out in transition. What have you kind of thought about what you've seen from Pierre this season?
Yeah, she moves really well for, I mean, a little bit undersized, big.
Hmm.
Um, she's scoring at a very high level. The way that they play, they force so many turnovers, like you said, and it's going to create for some very interesting stylistic matchups in SEC play coming up. We'll see how she's able to hold up in SEC play because Vanderbilt played like a solid out of conference schedule, but you're just going to be getting, especially playing as a big in the SEC, you're going to be getting disgusting matchups over and over. Like one night you got to guard Anissa Morrow, and then you got to deal with all of the depth that Texas has, and then you got to go deal with Reagan Beers. It's going to be an interesting season to watch for her. If she can keep up the scoring and the rebounding, this is somebody to keep an eye on as kind of that undersized, mobile, big. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been impressed with her drives, like getting downhill from the
Mhm.
elbow on cuts, in transition, kind of running some things. She's interesting to me. I think this Vanderbilt team, they're small. They'll play like 5'10" power forwards. Michaela Blake's is hooping. What is Michaela Blake's averaging? Yeah, 20
20
points.
a game,
For
yeah.
yeah, this Vanderbilt team's averaging almost 90 points per game.
That is a lot of points. To have 20 multiple 20 point per game scorers is impressive
And
at any point of the season.
Pierre is averaging 23 points and she's playing 28 minutes per game.
Just so you know, in the Her Hoop Stats era, no one has ever averaged 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 steals for an entire season. So that list is only Camille Pierre right now.
It is only Camille Pierre. We'll see if it holds up. If it holds up, that is also an All American, pretty
Absolutely,
easily
yeah.
there. What's another play I want to talk about from kind of
Uh,
that sophomore
Tasia
vein?
Cooper. Tasia Cooper, she's in her third year of college. She missed all of last season after transferring from South Carolina to Tennessee. She has really been impressive in a couple big games for Tennessee. The stats at
Hmm.
Tennessee are always going to look weird because they're all playing 22 minutes a night, but they're playing more possessions than a lot of players who play 34 minutes a night. So she's averaging 18 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals on good efficiency and only playing 21 and a half minutes a night. Um, it's it's a fascinating Tennessee team. This is Kim Caldwell to its core. They made 33s in a game, which is just truly, truly absurd. Um, but this is kind of the pitch for the transfer portal. You know, Talia Cooper was on that incredibly deep, undefeated regular season South Carolina team in 22-23. She only played 8 minutes a game and scored 3 points. Transfers to Tennessee, and now she's one of the best players in the SEC. Um, there's talent everywhere that isn't necessarily getting the opportunity, and when you can match talent with opportunity, great things happen.
I'm looking at this 2022-23 South Carolina team. So almost the entire roster might get drafted.
Yeah,
Zaya was drafted. Aaliyah Boston was drafted.
because you had
Cardozo was drafted.
the five starters all got drafted that year except Kiera Fletcher. Yeah, that is. There's like two players that won't get drafted on that entire roster
Because I think Chloe Kitts will probably get drafted just based on like
for
production
sure.
in college.
Yeah,
Fagans has the recruiting pedigree, interesting athlete. Raven, Ashlyn Watkins, like it's basically just a walk on. Olivia Thompson's a walk on, right? I don't know.
yeah, yeah,
It's basically Olivia Thompson and Kiera Fletcher, who is
uh,
like a grad chance for
yeah,
senior.
yeah,
That was just kind of there for a season. Like the entire team is going to
yeah.
get drafted.
That is crazy. One of the most talented teams we've ever seen.
And we're seeing Tasia Cooper have that similar type of situation that we saw from Sanaya Rivers, where transfers from South Carolina into the bench, interesting athlete, and is having a breakout season playing for a different program as a top option. It's fun. I think we'll see where she stands as a prospect. It's very early. I want to see how the jumper kind of goes along. Not like the most clean mechanics, but I think if we're comparing her to Sanaya Rivers, athletically, like elite athletes, we're seeing Tasia get to the rim, finish in the half court as well. We'll see where the passing goes. It's very difficult to gauge that playing in this system with how much of
Yeah,
it is transition offense. But I think just based on athleticism, defensive energy, finishing around the rim, like this is a future pro possibly.
yeah, very possible.
Before we get to our second ad break, anybody else that you've kind of been impressed with before we get there?
Um, the the whole freshman class from last year that had so much hype, Hannah Hidalgo, Michaela Williams, Malaysia Fulwiley, Maddie Booker, they're all still doing it. Hidalgo is maybe the best guard defender we've ever seen in college basketball. Michaela Williams is still getting to that mid-range pull-up. So is Maddie Booker. Um, Maddie Booker is just such a fun player. She's kind of like the backup point guard at Texas, and also coming from the weak side to block shots at 6'2". Just a super fun, versatile player. Malaysia Fulwiley is still doing absurd things with the ball in her hands, um, just with a little bit less production.
Yeah, Michaela Williams as well. Some fun passing. Basically, the best passer on this LSU team.
Yeah,
She's kind of has to be their engine of their offense offensively as a playmaker. That's rough for this team. The point guard play they have currently, the shooting they
yeah,
have at the back in the backcourt. Besides Michaela Williams and Flau'jae Johnson, it's pretty rough there. Kamora Johnson's also been really good at Virginia.
mm,
Tough situation. Virginia team's not going to play in the tournament, and she's having a big season. Like the jumper is coming
putting up
back around to where
massive
it was.
numbers.
The jumper is coming back to where it was like in high school. The pedigree she had coming out of high school as a shooter, that's huge for her
Mhm.
as a kind of small 5'7" ish guard. Um, KK Arnold is someone we were kind of high on as a player. Defensively, she's been good there. Had a pretty big game against Marquette. Just can't make threes. Isn't
Yeah.
looking at the rim anymore.
A
Really,
ball of energy, though.
she's making plays defensively. Um, Anybody else? Tessa Johnson making
Yeah,
threes.
that's what she does.
This 2027 class has so many like interesting players. Samaya Nichols as well. Some international players as well. This is a really fun class, I think.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So let's get to our final ad break. Come back and talk about some freshmen that we really enjoy watching this season. The Game Time app has made it easier to get tickets for your favorite event with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Recently, I was looking to tickets on using the Game Time app. With Game Time Picks, I found amazing deals and could even see the view from my seat before buying. The super deal was particularly impressive, offering great seats at unbeatable prices. Plus, the app's all-in pricing shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What is it? game time. All right, to kick off segment 3, the 2028 draft class, freshman class here, a lot of guards that have been impressive. What have you thought of Danny Carnegie and Silas Swords this season?
Danny Carnegie is one of the most outlandish shooters that I've watched this year. She will take any shot that she sees on the court, and a lot of them are going in right now. It's hilarious to see the shots that she takes coming off the bench for Georgia Tech this year. Um, she's averaging 16 points per game in 21 minutes, and that is a lot less possessions than Tasia Cooper is playing in her 21 minutes. Um, it's 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists, and a steal for a kind of smaller guard who is running around and getting up shots. She's super fun.
I'm going to be pushing for her to be the ACC Freshman of the Year. It's probably her or Toby Fournier, probably.
Yeah, I would lean Carnegie right now. There's
Yeah.
no runaway winners with ACC Freshman of the Year like last year that are coming to mind right now. But yeah, Danny Carnegie is absolutely up there with any of them.
Yeah, just takes so many threes coming off the bench, leads this team in scoring. 15-0 Georgia Tech.
15-0 Georgia Tech.
Was not on my bingo card for the season. They are currently ranked 13th in Division 1. Very fun stuff there.
Yeah.
And shout out Silas Swords for the Playing Up to the Competition award.
Yeah.
She comes in
that
like
goes to the entire Michigan team. I think Silas Swords had her worst game of the season against Northwestern, but had massive games against UCLA and South Carolina, the top 2 teams in the country. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, not like she's a good athlete, but she just finds ways to get downhill. The shooting, interesting player for this Michigan team that is so young. I wish Layla Filia was on this team and could see.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah. I think that Sila is a better shooter than her current 34% from 3.
Right.
Her shot diet is incredibly difficult. She's
Yeah.
hitting these threes off movement, off the dribble, and she's an incredibly smooth shooter. The way she gets to her spots and rises up, she's a big guard, so she can kind of get those shots against just about any kind of defender. She's shooting 93% from the free throw line. Got to say that's pretty good.
That is pretty good. Other freshmen that have kind of been standing out, Keelan McMiller, still getting buckets, hasn't been as efficient over her last couple of games against some tough teams.
Yeah.
Just so much usage for a freshman with such little scoring talent around her besides Destiny Adams.
Yeah. That Rutgers is a two-headed monster with not much behind.
Joyce Edwards, still so interesting as an athlete.
Yeah.
The defense, cutting down her turnovers as well over the last month or so. That's huge for her.
Olivia Olson, also at Michigan, has been one of my favorite freshmen to watch this season. She's like a 6'1" combo forward who has really interesting mid-range shooting and kind of a do-it-all potential.
Yeah, she's got really good ball skills.
Yeah, really intrigues me. Averaging over 2.5 assists per game right now, which for a freshman that's playing the 4 is really impressive.
Yeah. Liv McGill playing at Florida,
Yeah.
so much usage.
Bucket getters.
That's the thing with this freshman class. There's so many players that are being asked to handle usage beyond what they can actually they should handle. Zam Jones playing a lot of minutes, doing some fun stuff at NC State.
Really fun defender as a freshman. Kennedy Smith at USC is putting clamps on people. She just kind of her length and her strength make it so hard to get anything off the drive against her. She's just such a force defensively at the point of attack right now.
Yeah, Kennedy Smith. She's just an athlete. 6'1", kind of more of like a combo forward. USC's defense is
Yeah.
absurd. I think what I researched was like they have the best defense against quad one teams, and their offense hasn't even been good in those games, but they're like winning all of them but one, which was against Notre Dame.
Yeah, shout out to Rhea Marshall, who is not an underclassman like the rest of the people we've talked about, but is one of the best defenders in college basketball.
If she had like an average offensive game,
Yeah,
she's going in like the top first round.
yeah. USC is just filled with interesting players. Avery Howell is a shooter. Uh, Juju is she's like taking a step as a defender,
She's
which is
oh,
terrifying. I've never seen someone who plays who carries as much offensive scoring usage as she does that is as good of a secondary playmaker and defender as she is. It's just absurd the things she's doing on the weak side defensively and against wings. She's 6'2" and uses all of that defensively to block shots from the weak side, to just kind of stonewall wings that are trying to drive against her. And she is just an absolutely absurd defender for not just for her usage in general.
yeah, like her usage is over 30%. She's been one of the best defensive players, like coming from the weak side, making plays, guarding Paige, guarding Sonia. She's
Yeah,
been everywhere.
yeah.
So, any more thoughts? Any other players before we get out of here?
Shout out to Sarah Williams at Wisconsin putting up crazy numbers for a really struggling team. Um, Riley Goebel at Northern Iowa is one of the most interesting defenders I've seen. She's a 5'11" 4 who is scrawny and fouls like nobody's business, but she is all over the court. Northern Iowa is one of the most fun teams to watch in the country.
Is it? I don't understand how they don't have a better record.
They played a really tough out of conference schedule. They beat Iowa State, but they also played Iowa and Drake, which are all very good teams in the state of Iowa. Um, they're just starting Missouri Valley Conference play. Could be an interesting thing to watch out. I think Belmont is the prohibitive favorite in the MVC, but Northern Iowa is right there.
Yeah, very nice top three. A lot of shooting with those
Yeah,
three, with
yeah,
two
yeah. Maya McDermott and Kaba Lauby are two of the best scorers in the world.
getting buckets.
Yeah.
So, anyways, thanks for making Ultimate Basketball your first listen every day. Join the team in the next bat next week for continued coverage of women's basketball. Make your second listen Locked On Sports Today, the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone.